Hello, everybody, and welcome to Comet Cited, my little series where we discuss the Paradox Dev Diaries. And right now we're discussing the Imperator Rome Dev Diary number 6 from the 2nd of July, 2018. And this one is all about, well, it's a stepping our toes into the economy for Imperator Rome. So let's go over it. First of all, we have tax income. As mentioned in the chapter about pops, the tax income of a city is primarily based on how many slaves you have in that city. Then, of course, there are several modifiers that affect it, like access to trade goods, stability, ministers, and some factions when in power may increase your tax income. Secondly, there is commerce. This is only present if you either import or export trade goods from a province. Each trade links provide some income, and the amount of citizens you have increase it, while marketplaces and other factors will increase it as well. There are also various economic policies that affect your income and expenses on a country level, but we'll go over that in a later dev diary. Finally, each city has a few building levels. Each city can have at least one building, and each additional 10 pops in that city allows another building level. Currently, these are the effects of the building types, but they may change during development. Training camps give plus 10% manpower and 10% experience to units built in that city. Fortresses give an additional 1 fort level. Marketplaces give 20% increased income from commerce. And granaries reduce unrest by 1 and increase pop growth by 10%. Each building type can be built multiple times. If you have 4 slots in your city, you can fill them all with granaries if you so desire. Of course, you can order the building of multiple buildings in a city at once, and they will be built in a queue. And that is it for the dev diary. It is pretty meager, and I gotta say, this is the first one where I'm not like gushing at the seams about it. I'm a little bit disappointed, but whenever we go over these dev diaries, especially in the comment section, when some people are like, I hate this, I don't like that, it's like, okay, it's early, it could change, it could expand, it could be more complex, it could be easier, it could be harder later on. But this one is the first one I think I have a little bit of criticisms in. 4 building types. I'm a little surprised at that. 4. And yes, you could build them, and you know, like an EU4, you can upgrade your buildings to higher levels. But it's not tied to tax, so it's not something that you have to wait till later to do. Which, I mean, is a little column A, little column B. If you have a large city early on in the game, you can build it up pretty nice. And it doesn't seem to be a cap on the number of buildings, and there's obviously building slots here, here, and here for each type of building. Every city has at least 1 of level 1. So, you know, if you have 40 pops, theoretically, you should be able to do, like, 1 of each or 4 of 1. And they have stacking modifiers here. Well, let's look over that for a second. So, province of Neapolis, and we have the city of Neapolis selected. Right over here, you can see there's a little selector there. We have 1 trade route, 1 of 1. So we are trading, so we do have taxes coming in. You can see that a good majority of it's coming from the slaves. And there's only 3 slaves here. So 0.14 of the 0.22 is coming from slaves, and there's only 3 slave pops. A little bit from tribesmen, but there's only 2 tribesmen. Interesting that, well, I would say interesting that there's tribesmen pops, you know, central Italy, but this is very early on. Hey, it's January 2nd instead of January 1st. Anywho, let's go over it. Surplus of cloth and cloth. So this is something that I've been bitching about in Stellaris for a long time, is that there's strategic resources, but there's no stacking debuff with diminishing stacking buff with diminishing returns for having more than 1. Here we do have that. So we have cloth, so tax income up by 10%, and we have a surplus of cloth, so we have an extra 1. So another 5%. So I don't know if for everyone above that it'll be 5%, 5%, 5%, 5%. Personally, I'm of the philosophical bent that stacking modifiers like that should be reduced down to a single percentile, like 10%, 5%, 2.5%, 1%, 1%, 1%, 1%, 1% after that, you know, indefinitely. So you can stack it up, but it might be better to, you know, spread it around a little bit. So the governor's personal corruption is at 0, so that's not affecting at all. Gaius Fabius Licinus, who is neckbeard there. And he looks like he just woke up. He's got some disheveled hair. He's increasing it by 6%. That's probably a personal trait he's got. You can see that's down here as well on commerce income, so it's probably like all income 6%, something like that. Positive stability, which we got right over here, an extra 10%, and that probably goes up to 3 like most Paradox games. And the civic faction is in charge in Rome right now. That's something from EU Rome. There was the 3 different factions, and whichever faction was in control of the government at that time gave different bonuses. So this one, the civic faction, is going to help out your economy. Then we have commerce, which is the external. So we got trade routes, 0.1. So that's this trade route right here. The number of citizens is going to increase the money from that, and this guy is going to increase it as well again. Now, that doesn't add up. Excuse me. Sorry. This adds up to 9.4%. And you can see that the number of trade routes is 0.1 and the commerce income is 0.1. So you might need to get it to that hard percentile, that 10% there, to get that extra little 0.01 on the end there. Or they may have just needed to cycle the game for it to update before taking the picture. I'm kind of leaning towards probably just needed to cycle the... Or there's a third option, and that 0.0094 percentile is on there, but it's just for the sake of simplicity, it's just not on the tooltip there, because that is something that exists in like EU4 where there are fractions of ducats, but it just rounds. They are there, but it just rounds on the actual display. And we have one more picture, again, pulled off of Johan's personal Twitter the other day. I think it was on Saturday or Sunday. And you can see we are looking at Sparta again, a very popular one. Province of Laconia. On this one, you can see the UI a little better. So it was barracks, fortresses, marketplace, and what was the last one? Granary. Oh, I guess I see how it's a granary. Or like when I think granary these days, I think like grain silo. But, you know, they wouldn't have been building giant grain silos back then. It would have just been more like a warehouse. So that makes sense. So the barracks, the fortress, the marketplace, and the granary. And you can see here, there's the commerce income from the marketplace for each level is 20%. So that does stack up. So you can and this is for cities. These aren't for provinces. These are for specific cities. So you can do this in every single one of your cities. I don't see a cost for building though, which is interesting. I'm willing to say 90% certain it's probably just going to be straight up ducats like it is in EU4. But we can see down here a little bit more too on the UI. We got our unrest level. We got our total income on the province. And I can't see what this is. And I don't know what this is. I have no idea. I've been looking at this on the UI for a while now. I'm wondering if someone else may have picked it up somewhere. If you guys know, you let me know. Because I'm very interested in what this item right here is. So I've been sitting here for a few minutes looking over this DD. And I think I might backpedal on not liking this one just by about 10%. I'm still not thrilled with it in the limited number of buildings. But then I thought, this is not on a province level. This is on a city level. So that means you can spec your cities in your provinces for various items, or you can just kind of, you know, thin them out. And obviously here, a city with 0 fort and 0 garrison. I guess it seems obvious to me, but it seems like you'd just be able to waltz an army in there and take it uncontested. Where if maybe if you find you got some choke points, you got a frontier, you wall up all of your cities and make sure they have garrisons on them. And then the ones further back, maybe no walls. Because that was a very Roman thing to do was, you know, a lot of Roman cities, especially closer to the heartland, and that were not very ancient like Rome itself, didn't have walls because the bad guys were so far away in the provinces, you know, on the boundaries of the empire. They didn't have walls because they figured, hey, we're never going to need them. All the battles are going to be fought really far away, and that came back to bite them on the ass later on. But I could definitely see that being a thing in the game because, like I said, it's on a city level, not on a province level. I do like the granularity of the how the resources that are produced and available affect the income. I do like that because that means you will be able to tweak it finally by yourself, and external forces will be able to affect it as well. Say someone you're playing against decides that you're making too much money and you've got one trade route being produced in this one area that you're making a ton of money off of. They can wage economic warfare by trying to take that from you, or possibly plundering the trade routes with pirates or something like that. That seems like it would be fun. You know, I really like waging economic warfare in Paradox games. I don't know. I think that might just be like a me thing. I know everybody doesn't love that. A lot of people just like military. But I really like pirate actions and economic warfare. I like that kind of stuff. Being able to manipulate other people's economies without directly declaring war. It's something that really tugs at the heartstrings for me. But anywho, we're going to leave it here for the day, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. Leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think of this dev diary. Oh, I forgot. Hang on. One more thing I pulled off of Johan's Twitter the other day is the aging, a little taste of the aging portrait. I mean, this is obviously not the same person, but this is a 19-year-old portrait, and this is a 45-year-old's portrait. And from what I've seen so far, it doesn't seem like it's CK2, where, you know, at 49 years and 364 days, you have your young man portrait, and then at 50 years on the dot, you get your old man portrait. Seems like it changes more gradually over time, which would be very interesting, I think. Just a nice little flavor element. I like flavor elements like that in my games. Just the little things that make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more immersive. But this is going to be just a teaser, I think, for what they're going to be talking about next time, because the dev diary did mention characters, didn't it? Characters, yep. Next dev diary is characters. So, thank you for watching, everybody. Again, hope you have enjoyed it. I will see you all next time.